Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the TruuuTalk podcast. This is season 2, episode. Milan, what episode is it?
12.
Right, again, before we go any further, we've got to give a round of applause to Milan for getting that right this week.
Thank you very much.
Right, as always, we're joined by TruuuTalk cast, of course, and we are joined by the TruuuTalk First Lady, Miss Chitty. Miss Chitty, Chitty, bang, bang.
Okay. Love. Namaste.
Namaste. We're also joined by a man who needs no introduction, Mr. TruuuTalk himself, Mr. Ashley. Show. We are joined by our very own banter bringer, Miss Milan, Miss Millie Rock.
Millie, banter, babe.
We are joined by, I don't want to say a special guest because he's not really a special guest anymore. He's one of us, but he doesn't join us half the time. Yeah, he forgot who we were, but we'll let him off because he joined all the way from Australia. It's 7 o'clock in the morning, where he is, Mr. Carl.
Too booked to be bothered, but thank you, and I'm gonna stay away from you forever.
Yeah, you said fuck you, Sticky. No,
basically, yeah. And of course, myself, DJ Sticky Fingers.
The one and only.
Yeah, apparently. But yeah, one lot. So can you see it? It's just there. Yeah.
All I need is one lot.
All I need is one lot.
Now, if you're just joining us, if you're new to the TruuuTalk podcast, let's give you a little breakdown of what we do, right? We always have 2 topics. We've got our serious topic, which this week is grandparents' relationship role models. Now, to give you a bit of context on that, right? We're talking about, people talk about, my grandparents were together for 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years. The new generation should be more like them. But then, what was a relationship like? Pause. That's our serious topic. We've also got our Ask Millie. This is where Chitty will give Milan a real life scenario, and we want to know what Millie will do. That's why it's called the Ask Millie. And our fun topic this week is gold diggers. Now, I normally like to give a bit of context, right? But to be honest with you, this week we got no context. It's just gold diggers, all right? So that's what it is. That's just what it is. So first topic, though, serious topic. On a serious note, grandparents' relationship role models. We're going to go to Carl first because, again, Carl hasn't been here for a long time. Since his birthday, he's forgotten us, which is about 2 months ago. So, Carl, what's your views?
Before I speak, I'm going to disguise. Because my grandmother's a fucking tyrant and she's going to hunt shit down. So, here I start. My grandmother is a pretty unique, awesome woman who I actually love, but she's a fucking bitch. Just putting it out there. And I mean that in the nicest way. I love her. The way we communicate, I'll just give you a background on it. Like, my grandmother's pretty ill right now, and I said to her, like, you're the cockroach that's not going to fucking die, right? She was like, this cockroach is going to outlive you, motherfucker. That's our relationship. She's direct. Do I aspire to have a relationship like her and my grandfather had? No. No, not in the slightest. I clearly weren't around those days, but I do hear that it was a pretty unique opportunity or surroundings to be in. I don't think it was the most stable, should we say. My grandfather was in the army. My grandmother was busy. And yeah, they ended up splitting up and she remarried, and her husband now of many, many years, who is a fucking awesome man. I've actually said to him how she dealt with him. I don't know, because how he dealt with her, I would have put a pillow over her face type of thing. She's a hard woman. She's a very hard woman. Do I aspire for a relationship? No, I am pretty much my grandmother in so many contexts, and I wouldn't like to be with myself. So would I aspire to be like them? No, not in the slightest. Is she cool as fuck? Yeah. Is she evil as fuck? Absolutely. But she is what you see. I don't know what else I'm going to say to that. apart from I'm putting my disguise back on.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, you know, Carl said it as it is. I don't know what to say to that, Carl, to be fair. Shout out to those in the line.
Am I lying?
I see you all. Milan, I'm going to come to you next. What's your views on this? Do you think we should aspire to be like what our grandparents were like in terms of their relationship these days?
For me, I think the ideal of it, if that's the right word, like, you know, when you think of, because again, my grandparents aren't together. My nan sadly passed when I was, I don't even know, I think I was like probably in year 5 or year 6. So that was like years ago. But, so I don't really remember, but I'm pretty sure that her and my granddad weren't together when I was a kid. And I'm pretty sure I've heard my mum and my uncles and aunties say they weren't together when they was kids. Do you know what I mean? And there's 6 of them. Well, no, 5. My uncle passed a few years ago. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, the idea of, you know, because there are some grandparents who have stayed together, you know, so far, not many from this podcast, but do you know what I mean? So I think the idea of it is lovely. Do you know what I mean? Like, they were, you know, childhood sweethearts. You meet, I don't know, when you're in school, or, you know, you take them dancing and you do the little, what's called, it's really bad, I'm a dancer, rock and roll or whatever, and they do their little jive, and then you'd walk the girl home, kiss her on the doorstep, like that part of it. Probably a movie part of it, probably. But do you know what I mean? That part is lovely. You know, your grandparents, and then literally they get married by the time they're 20. Do you know what I mean? And then that's it. You're set, you buy a house, you have kids, you live together, you die, and you get a bench. I'm probably putting that into the universe because I want a bench. And you get a bench, do you know what I mean? So that idea of it, I love it. But I do understand that, Carl, you love him.
Did you say you want a bench?
Yeah, with my name engraved in it in a heart with my husband's name underneath it.
Sorry, I just never heard that.
Of course you haven't heard it because you haven't been here, okay? You haven't been here. But I do understand that, you know, back then, although, you know, we think that domestic violence, even cheating, it's not just domestic violence, and I don't just mean physical, I mean like mentally as well. You know, that did happen then. And like Carl said, his granddad was in the war. When the guys were in the war, there probably were men who stayed like faithful, and there probably were like women who did as well. But there were a lot of them that was just going around, you know, getting the sausages wet, and girls were doing their thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, it happened, and we can't say that it didn't. So would I want that aspect of it? No. And the thing is as well, it's like back then, marriage was, you get married and then you do not break up. Like, you do not get a divorce. No matter what happens, whether he's on the couch, you're in the room, you go back to your parents, you don't get a divorce. Do you know what I mean? It just was what it was. So that aspect of it, no, I wouldn't want that. And I think it's filtered down though from generation to generation. Like I said, my grandparents weren't together, and my mum and dad aren't together. Now getting personal, like me and my baby father aren't together. And I don't necessarily think it's because it's a generational thing, and I've seen it happen. So I'm like, oh, my mum was a strong, independent woman, so I want to be strong. No, obviously, me and my baby father had our reasons that we're not together. But it just seems to be a change. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think that you should stay in a relationship if there are issues, especially if they're serious issues, you know, whether it's like mental abuse, physical abuse, if you're being cheated on, why are you allowing your partner to go out, do what they're doing and come back? Like, that's degrading to you as a person. Like, you don't think you're anything. Don't worry about what they think. You literally don't think you're nothing. You feel like you're a doormat, and you feel like that's okay for them to do them. And then because they're coming home to your bed, that's okay. It's not. And don't feel like, you know, you need to stay in a relationship because of kids, or you need to stay in a relationship because this person will be like, oh my God, them two have broken up, and and she posted on Instagram that he was her world, or he posted on Instagram that she was the love of his life, and blah, blah, blah. Like, at the end of the day, it's your relationship and it's your mental well-being at the end of the day. So if your relationship ain't right, leave it. But yeah, as for grandparents, the idea of it is lovely, but the reality of it, I don't think is not for everybody. So everyone starts jumping on my dick, but the reality of it is just not. Sorry, my vagina. Then the reality of it is it doesn't happen often, which is a shame.
All right, that's fair enough. Before I come to you, I'm going to read some of his messages. DJ Empress says, Sticky, why is your hair sticking out like that? Looks like it wants to run off. Honestly. PD says, my mum's parents have been married for 63 years and together for almost 70 years. They can't be without each other. If the relationship is like theirs, I'd love to be in them. I'd love to be like them. Sorry, forgive me. PD says Millie and benches. Yeah, do you know, I was thinking that as well. I've heard Millie say benches quite a few times. Brina says, fair enough, Carl, it is what it is. PD says sausage is wet. I think going back to what Milan was saying about people getting their sausages wet. I mean, I don't know what that is about. Brina says Millie isn't playing with manifesting her bench. Yeah, I'd agree. Brino says agreed. When there's serious issues, why be miserable for decades? P says, I think that couples back then were more likely to stay together, even if the relationship was militant. And Brenda says, the idea is beautiful. And Legion Press says, grandparents in long marriages are so soothing. Listen to their cheesy jokes. I love it.
Can I just put my last 2 pence in quickly? Just as somebody said that. Back then as well, they stayed together also because the man was the breadwinner and the woman stayed at home. Like, that's just what it was back then. The women stayed at home and they did housework, they looked after the kids. So if you didn't have no money and you didn't have a source of income, where were you going? You're going to leave this man to what? Do you know what I mean?
And Millie also, back then, it was a big thing of religion.
Yeah.
The church. Yeah. You didn't, because then you were ostracized from the church or whatever it be. You were accepted by society, even back with their grandparents when they were young, you know?
Yeah. Sorry, I just want to put my last 2 pence to finish.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. Ash, what are you saying about this? What's your views on this one?
Well, from what I've obviously I've got 2 sets of grandparents, and I was like really around my grandparents quite a lot. So I saw 2 different kinds of relationships. And I wouldn't necessarily say I would want relationships exactly like that, but I would definitely want the family aspect of what it brings and what and how important, because basically what we see when, like, I can't speak for everybody because I don't know, but I can only speak from the experience that I've had. Having a nan and a granddad in the same house, yeah, allowed us to have aunties and uncles that are in the same house, allowed us to have cousins that are in the same house. You get me? Who allows us to, my cousins who now got kids and I've got kids who can go to the same house. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just allowed that family connection to continue and to stay relevant and to stay important, because we all go to the same hub still. Like, my nan's still here, so we all go to my nan. My aunties are there, my cousins are there, my cousins' kids are there. You get what I'm saying? My daughter's there. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we don't lose it. You get what I'm saying? The love doesn't get lost. You know, like, sometimes you'd be like, I don't know my 3rd cousin, 2nd cousin. Like, my family thing is so, because I can even say my great grandparents stayed together. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, know that they were from America. Well, not from America. They're obviously from Jamaica, but they lived in America. Yeah, and all of their kids, like my nan's siblings, not all of them. Some of them are here, but most of them are in America. Yeah, so we still know their kids. You know what I'm saying? And we're like to some people that might be like far removed. You get me? But for us, because of that solid foundation, that everyone being in the same family hub, same family home, it's allowed us to know our cousins in America. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, even my daughter might know my cousin's cousins. You know what I'm saying? My cousin's daughter's daughter. You know what I'm saying? Like that. So for me, that's what it's allowed, isn't it? That's what I've taken from it, more than focusing on some of the negatives, because obviously it wasn't highlighted, innit? It wasn't like put out there for man to see. It was obviously hidden to perfection. You get me? Or not to perfection, because, you know, these things always seem to find a way to reach the surface. You get me? But even when they reached the surface, it didn't break the foundation. You get what I'm saying? Which was maybe might have been at the detriment of maybe my nan. Maybe it was a stressful task for her to maintain all those years. You know what I'm saying? But she sacrificed it in order for us to have what we do have now, which is a family that can support us through anything. So you've then got like how many aunties, how many cousins, and someone can help me, someone can give me advice, someone can tell me I love you, someone can ask how's your day going. Do you get what I'm saying? Out of all of these, out of all of this pool of family and people that man have, do you know what I mean? So, and maybe it was rough. Maybe they did suffer, but just like it's for a reason, and this is what our generation is. I'm not saying I am like I'm different. Our generation is less about sacrifice as they are, innit? Maybe because we don't see the point of it. We don't see like the end result of it. You know what I mean? So we're kind of less willing to sacrifice our own well-being for the sake of our next 2-3 generations. You know what I'm saying? We're not thinking like, oh, I want my great grandkids to know each other. You get me? We're not thinking like that. You get me? Like now, my daughter's growing up and she's like, my nan lives in one house and my granddad lives. She doesn't even associate nanny and granddad like that. You know what I'm saying? So who knows the effect that's going to have going forward? You know what I mean? I don't know. We'll see. But all I know is the effect that it had, and it was a positive one for me.
There's definitely a lot of stuff in there. I'm actually going to come back to some of your stuff in a minute, right? What I'm going to do before I do that, I'm going to read some of the messages. I'm going to go over the chids, and I will come back to some of your points that you made. I think you made some really actually touching points there, if I'm honest. PD says, yeah, same here, Ash. It's like a place. It's like the go-to place, especially on a Sunday. Rena says, that's so true, Ash. I didn't even reflect on that perspective at all. Mad. Also says, I haven't liked growing up and discovering the disrespect some of my grandparents endured at the hands of the other. They sacrificed their happiness. Good points there as well. Chids, what's your views on this one?
I just think that obviously back then it was the thing to stay with your partner, innit, and just to, even if you weren't, it's not a case of working through whatever you were going through. It was just the thing to do, to just stay together, to save face, innit? I think, like, from my own personal experience, my grandparents on my mum's side, my grandmother came from one country in the West Indies, grandfather came from another. They met. They were kind of just pushed together. And then I remember my grandmother telling me that my granddad just came home one day, she chucked money on the table and said, we're getting married. And that was that. And she'd never experienced like any other man, that he was her first and last person. And she just said like it was just a thing where they were kind of just pushed together, so it was what it was. And I think it was almost because of like both of their families had more of a say in what was happening and what was going on. They didn't have that. They had a connection, but they just didn't have that connection where they could talk things through. So my nan knew things about my granddad, but she just kind of just dealt with it, innit, and just let him do whatever he was doing because she was just like, oh, whatever. And he couldn't go to her as a man and speak on what was on his mind. It wasn't until my mum went to college and my grandmother said, enough is enough. Do you get me? We're both unhappy. This is not good. And they kind of just parted ways, but they became better friends being apart. So they even up until the day that she died, like I remember the morning she died, I went to my grandmother's house. My granddad was sat there holding her hand. And he said that she was my best friend. Do you get me? So even though they didn't work out in the one aspect, they brought life into the world, and they were able to maintain such a beautiful friendship, which then allowed and left room for both families to always interact. Do you get me? Like my grandpa's family, are my nan's family. They come to my nan before they come to my granddad. Do you get me? And like, everyone centered obviously around my grandmother's house when she was alive. But even now, like the spirit of my grandmother and the bond that my grandfather had with her, it still kept everything the same. And we're still all tight. We all still meet her. Like, you get me? Cousins interact, aunties interact. It's allowed that, like, that family element. So even though they didn't work out, it wasn't a negative. Do you get me? It's still sort of nurtured the positive aspects of like the whole family relationship and everything. And then on my dad's side, it was crazy because so my grandmother's my dad's side was white and his dad was black. And they were together they was just mad. They wasn't allowed to be together, but they just fought everything and sort of just stayed together. It was a bit of a battle. And then because that happened, it's like that's where the relationships broke down, because everyone, like this part of the family, ostracized themselves from this side of the family, and nobody ever interacted. Like, there's a lot of my family I got so much family out there from my dad's side that I don't even know, all because of like cultural and racial differences. So it's mad. Like, I've been able to kind of experience it from both sides. But I mean, would I aspire to have a relationship like any of my grandparents? Not my dad's side, no, because it's just led to a big breakdown in communication and bonding and stuff. But then on my grandmother's side, yes, because even I've watched my own mother learn from it. So she saw her parents, even though they wasn't able to stay together, they still maintained a friendship. And then like my mum, she's not with my brother's dad. Like, my dad passed away, but she's not with my brother's dad. But my brother knows every single one of his siblings. My mum has his siblings in her house, and no one is made to feel no way. Because like my grandmother always said that no child has to be here. So it's not on the children. If the adults can't be adults and put their differences aside for the family's sake, and it's not even about putting them aside, it's just talk it through and work it out, just so you can have like that, just a little bit of peace and harmony and unity in a family for the next generation's sake. So no matter what's happened, like even my brothers, that they look at me as their older sister. Do you get me? Like, even though I don't even fuck with my brother's dad, do you get me? Like, I don't even speak to him or nothing, but they still don't. And even his grandmother, she will see me, won't pass me, or come to the house, do you get me? So there's always our unity. So it's like, even though the relationships were a lot different back then, and people was kind of forced to stay together, I think as they got older and people evolved and everything, you just realized that you didn't have to stay in situations just because you had to. You do have a choice. Everything's a choice. But then it's still, it can still work out. So yeah, man, it's like it hasn't always got to be negative, if you like.
There was definitely a lot to take in, a lot to digest. I like the part you said about when your grandma was passing away. And I'm not saying I'm liking the fact your grandma was passing away, but the fact that your grandfather was there with her by her side on her final days. I had to be careful how that came across, by the way. But yeah, it was nice to hear that they will still have that bond, that he was still by her side. You know what I mean? Which is lovely to hear, man. But definitely a lot to take in there, though. I'm going to read some of his messages. Kaiser Soze says, blessings everyone. Brina says, oh, wow. Petey says, that must have been difficult. That must have been difficult back then, Chids. Brina says, that's real 100%. And PD also says 100% so true, Chids. If you don't mind, I want to give my opinion on this one, all right? I don't normally like to give my opinion. I like to I like to avoid it. This avoidance. Yeah, I like to avoid stuff. Yeah, I know. But I'll tell you why, right? So Ash made a really good point, and something I took for granted in terms of about the hubs, like grandparents' house being the hubs to go to. So admittedly, I didn't really think about it until I said it. I was like, fucking, that's so true. But let me tell you my story, right? My grandparents. So I'm fortunate enough to have lived and been present, see all four of my grandparents. So on both sides. So grandparents on both sides, still together until one on one side. one set have passed away now, right? So they have similar sort of backgrounds. So all my grandparents from Jamaica, they all came over to England in the 60s and had kids settled here. The plan was to come to England. They thought England was, lots of money, get some money, go back home. That was the plan, right? A lot of people with that generation, Windrush generation, that was what their plan was. Yeah, come to England, a lot of money and piss off back. And they came here, realized it was cold and there wasn't that much money. But that's how it went, all right? They said England's cold, England's very grey. So on both sides, both my grandmothers, and again, to put in context, right, my grandparents didn't live that far from me either. So 20 minutes drive to both their houses, all right? So I've grown up with them for all my life. So both my grandmothers are really, really cool, okay? Both cool, both, you go to their house, they're cooking you food and, they're making you whatever, they're making you eat and they look at you and say, if they say that you're skinny, that means that's not a compliment, all right? That means that they're going to feed you and you need to eat more. If they say you're looking fat, that's good. That's a compliment. They're looking after you and they're happy you're looked after, all right? That's how my grandmothers are like. My grandfathers now, on one side, one grandfather, super cool. When I mean he's super cool, still alive, cool. Like to the point that you go to his house, he wants you to come in, play Ludo, play dominoes. This man's in his 80s. He WhatsApp called me the other day. He video called me, actually. He video called me, like, to see how I was doing, how I was going. He told me I should be reading the Bible. He's doing Bible studies and stuff like that. But that's the sort of guy he is. He's always been cool. Like, I used to go see him at work. Sometimes I'm away home from college, just pop in the chat with him and sit and chat. He's like, come in, come sit down. He's that sort of guy. You want to go to his house? He's like, yeah, man, come on. Don't worry. There's enough food for you. There might be no food left. Come over. There's enough food for you, right? That's what he was at. So really cool role model. On the other side, on the other hand now, right? Bastard. Yeah. Apologies to any family members that might see this, okay? But that's the grandfather I had. Like, he was the sort of man that, if you think back in the day, right? So anyone's got like Jamaican family, they'll probably tell you about a thing called like a partner. Yeah, partners, things that old like West Indian people used to do where they used to collect money and blah, 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 and this, that, and the other. Old school thing, right? That granddad, he would be the one to take the money and go to the pub. He'll be taking the money, going to the bookies. He was the one that would come home on a Friday night drunk, just banging on the door because he can't get in, he can't find his key, drunk. There's nothing wrong with that, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with you coming home drunk, okay? I'm not, anyone that wants to drink and get drunk, it's cool. But I think it's in context, isn't it? Like, you're coming home, you got your grandkids there who are like, we're like 5, 6, 7, wherever we are. You come in drunk, stinging of beer, you just carrying like an arsehole, and you do the same thing again. You're taking all the money. No one has a good story about my granddad. None of his children have anything positive to say about him. That's really sad. Like, that generation, all the men that came to England from the West Indies, they were either bus drivers, train drivers, worked on the railway. You know why? Because it was good money, good pension. That's what the plan was, right? He got fired. Do you know why? If I'm not mistaken, he was drinking. Just to give you a bit of context of what it was like. So do I aspire to be like my grandparents? In some sense, yes, because there are going to be some good ones out there. You say, right, they've been together for 63 years, as Peely said, known each other for 70 years, or how long they've been together for, something to aspire to. But then, as some of you guys have said, in terms of they stay together maybe for the wrong reasons. My grandma had nowhere else to go. She's come to England. She's now got 5, 6 kids, 7 kids. Where's she going to go? She's an old Jamaican woman. I say old. She wasn't old at the time. She's a Jamaican woman, very little education. Where's she going to go? The husband's always the breadwinners. Women didn't really have much education, much choices, much jobs, much opportunities. So where are they going to go? I suppose on the flip side, as I said, them staying together meant there was a hub. Because as you guys have said, on a weekend, on a Saturday night, I know that my aunties are going to be there, my uncles are going to be there, my cousin's going to be there. We're going to be watching Jerry Springer, or we're going to be watching, I don't know, Terminator 2, wherever it may be. We're going to all be there together. Just everyone's in one place. But now they're not here anymore. That hub's gone. And when I said it, as soon as I said, I thought, fucking no, you're so right. That hub is gone. That we don't meet up anymore like that. We may meet up in a park, but that hub is gone. So maybe their sacrifice did help us, but I don't know. But that's my 2 cents worth, and that's why I don't talk too much. I talk too much anyway. So that's me done. That's me done.
It was
no
nice
more.
to hear you, Vicky. It was nice to have you speak, but don't
Finally,
do
you
that
get me? Finally,
don't
but
do that again, though.
I appreciate
Yeah.
that, Sticks. I don't know why they're getting onto you.
I don't know
I
either.
love that.
But yeah, but it's,
that's funny because my granddad wasn't a drunk here, but one of them was mad cool, and one of them was like, to me, he was cool. I didn't really have a problem with him, but everyone else kind of felt like he had always had an opinion, always had something negative to say. But he did. But for me, I never really took it seriously because basically my other granddad who was cool, he never used to take nothing serious. Like he's a serious man though, like a really serious man. But he never used to take nothing serious with us kids. Like I don't even think he ever called me by my real name. You get me? Like he used to just call man anything. Like, yo, Patrick, come here. You get me? Like anything. It would be a different name every time he called man. Like just like for bands. You get me? He was that kind of person. So he kind of taught me not to take things too seriously. He kind of taught man that, but he taught man that kind of subconsciously. But with my other granddad and my other grandparents, even if they were bare moany, like I never used to take it personal. It's like, that's just a nanny thing, or that's just a granddad thing. You get me? Like even if my granddad's moaning at me, I'm sitting there, he's just chatting shit. I know I'm going home to bun and shit, like it doesn't like, you know what I'm saying, kind of thing. And for me, it's not like it mattered that. It doesn't matter, like at them ages, I'm thinking like you can moan at me for smoking or whatever, but still gonna I don't live with you. When I cut from here, I'm gonna go do what I want. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's not like I'm gonna be like, Granddad, don't tell me what to do. You get mad in that moment. I'm gonna be like, yes, Granddad, you're right. I'm gonna stop smoking. You know what I'm saying? That kind of thing. So for me, he weren't so bad, but it's always like that. Like you got a cool one and then one militant one that's just onto you there.
Yeah, but to be honest with you, for me, it was like there was a complete contrast. So both grandparents, both grandfathers, both of them drink, but one would drink sociably. You go to those Domino's events and, the weddings and someone's 60th or 80th and they'll drink sociably, but that's it, social. You know what I mean? You might get drunk now and again, but it's sociable. The other one was a drunk. The other one was spending like the family money. Remember, don't forget, he's the breadwinner. He's the only one that's going to work, bringing home the monthly, spending the money in the pub. And it was quite a common thing for men of that generation. You're going to the pub, going to the bookies. You know what I mean? If you want to find your granddad, go to the betting shop. You'll probably find him in there. You know what I mean? With all the other guys in there, right? All the other Jamaican men in there with the hats on, with the feathers in the hat and all that. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? Yeah, you'll find them in there. But yeah, it's weird, man. Yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? A weird topic, I suppose. But good topic though. Thank you, Chids.
Good topic.
Making me open up today.
You know what I'm saying?
I feel like I was bagging my grandparents. I'm not as people. They're not bad people. But as a relationship, no. My grandparents are fucking awesome. Like both sets. Well, they actually, my mum and dad's side, they both divorced and remarried. So it's quite an elaborate family.
That's the best.
But they're all fucked up in their own special way.
Yeah. Right.
Love it. So I'm going to read some of his messages. Hold on quickly. This one, Samantha says, thanks for sharing, Sticky. And Petey says, that was nice to hear. Petey says, my dad's grandparents were also together until they passed, but my granddad wasn't a good person. Okay, I think in the Caribbean community, tend to stick together because they came here together. I think that's a very good point, actually. That's actually quite, because I've seen a lot of families of my parents' generation, who, by the way, are my favorite generation, by the way. I always say that they're my favorite. The way they are, especially when they get older, they also look after you, make sure you've eaten and stuff like that. So I love them. But yeah, I think that's a very good point. They did stick together because they don't have options, really, to be fair. Brina says, I didn't take it that way, Carl. Okay, fair enough. She didn't take it that way. All good. So that was this week's serious topic, right? Serious topic for this week. I think it's our time to go over to the Arcs Millie section. Now, if you don't know, it's where Chidi will have a topic or a scenario, real life scenario for Milan, and we want to know what Milan would do in this scenario. Chidi, you ready?
Yes, I think so.
All right.
Okay, so one of my girls got asked out to dinner. Said she was happy to pay her share as she always does. The guy only ordered a main. He said he wasn't too hungry, so my girl did the same. When the bill came, the guy produced a buy one main, get one free voucher and said that was his meal covered for free and she needed to pay her full amount. What would you do if that happened to you, Millie?
Chids, you got to read that again. Chids, read that again. Read that again, Chids.
Please, for the people
Read that one again, Chids.
Okay, so one of my girls got asked out to dinner. Said she was happy to pay her share, as she always does. The guy only ordered a main, said he wasn't too hungry, so my girl did the same. When the bill came, the guy produced a buy one main, get one free voucher and said that was his meal covered for free and she needed to pay her full amount. What would you do if this happened to you? Millie, gunshot for my man.
Alright, cool. I would take my important belongings from my bag. I didn't even bring bags, but if I did, take my important belongings, so my card, my keys, and my ID. And if I got cash, I don't really have cash, but if I got cash, I'll take that too. Proceed to just go into the toilet. I ain't fucking coming back. Because if I start cussing too bad words on this guy, I'm going to end up getting arrested. Do you know what I mean? And then shit's going to go down. There's going to be a CCTV video somewhere. I'm going to go viral. It's all mad. It's all mad. Although I had intentions of paying, don't, like, I'm just so speechless. Not even like, I've got the voucher, then we can go halves on the, you just, well, that's my meal paid for free with my voucher. Like, wait, sorry, did she say that she would pay for her meal or she would pay for the meal? So like hers and his?
She said she was happy to pay her share.
So basically go halves. All right,
Yeah,
cool.
like,
I'll take the voucher. I'll say, yeah, I'm just going to go to the, rip up that fucking voucher, pay my half and leave. And then he'd be sitting at the table like, you better pay your half of it. What do you mean you bought a voucher? Like,
right.
Not even a voucher that benefits us. You're just, do you know what it is for me? It's not even the fact that he had the voucher. If you came with this ulterior motive, you knew what you was doing before you sat down. You knew what you, like, do you know what I mean? You knew you was only ordering a main. All that bullshit about, not really that hungry. You're still going to go and box a kebab on the way home. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just the audacity of it. Like, literally the audacity of it.
Oh, that's it.
The fuck? The fuck? Like, but here's
about is a voucher for my heart. It's deep, innit? That's fucking. I'd be like, you know what? Old type bedroom.
Let me not give you harsh. Coronavirus, last year, no one even got paid. Everyone was on furlough. You got paid 8% of your wages in it. Maybe he's going through a hard time and he didn't want to say, I ain't got no money. So he come with the voucher. Next time, just talk up about it. Don't. No, I'm sorry.
He took the piss.
I can't even try to give a scenario where it's like, it's okay. No, it's fucking not.
I can't ask a question though. But technically, he wasn't wrong though, innit? Because you said you're paying for your half. You agreed before the date that you're paying for your half.
Yeah,
and he has covered his own half with a voucher.
She literally come out and said, like, she said what she was doing.
And
my guy come with, I'm not hungry. I'm only having a main. If you're not hungry, then order the starter. Do you know what I mean? But because the voucher was main for main, he ordered a main.
Yeah,
he presented himself with that voucher at the beginning, that's different.
That's what I'm saying. If he said that, cool, calm, you bought a voucher, sweet. You've said that. With your whole text, you've said that. Cool, I appreciate that. But you come in sneaky at the end, like, oh, well, literally licking the plate and that, like getting that last bit off your top.
I'm hungry.
With a voucher, all smug as well. Am I dickhead? Nah.
Let me send messages. Brina says, OMG, Millie speechless. PD said he didn't even say go Dutch. DJ Empress says, first, I'm not ordering less because you're brack. Second plate going in your ass head. PD says the audacity. Brina says exactly, Milan. It's the audacity of it all. Brina says the voucher is worse than saying he's broke. PD says nothing wrong with paying for your own food, but this guy had a tactic. Thank him for the evening pay and go home. Brina says you're right, Sticky, but it's the principle of how he went about it all.
Thank you.
Ash, if you've agreed, huh?
Carlos. He's the type of guy to say, let me just go on your Just Eat app a minute and order himself food.
Ash, if you've agreed to go halves on a date with a woman, right? She says, we'll go halves with you. And she pulls out a voucher to pay for her own half. Are you mad?
Nah, I don't really care. I don't really care, innit? But I know it's different, though. You get me? I know it is actually different, though. I wouldn't care. You get what I'm saying? I wouldn't really care. If you put out the voucher, I'll probably say, you might as well hold out for next time when you like yourself or with your virgin.
True gentleman. Carl, what were you doing in this situation?
It's never a gentleman thing, but man's gonna look mad like paying for the food with the voucher. Man's with the girl, man's paying with the voucher, and that just look mad, innit? I'm just like, I don't really like being embarrassed. I don't really like embarrassment like that. You get what I'm saying? Don't get twisted. If I'm with my boys and man got a voucher, man's with my cousin or brother or something. Bro, let's use the voucher, P. I swear man got vouchers, girl. I will pull it out, like, don't get it twisted, but if it's like, you get me, it's the setting, it's the setting ain't right for it. You get what I'm saying? I'm not afraid of using vouchers though, but obviously if I'm with my brethren and my brother or my cousins or someone that, you get me, we'll use as many vouchers as we can, you get what I'm saying? But if it's like a date situation, I guess it's not really, you might as well save up to go on your date, you get me? Go on your date next week, you get me?
It's mad. It depends on. I think it just depends on the situation. Because see me now, I got a code for fucking everything. So I'll just be like, wait there, hold that a minute, because I'm just gonna do a little thing. Do you get me? So but then if he's blatantly just pulled up this voucher at the end of it. He's premeditated. He knew what it was for. He took the piss.
He even probably only picked that restaurant because he had the voucher. Do you know what I'm saying? He didn't let her pick the tight little. He said, "I'm gonna take you out."
But he didn't even want to take her out. He didn't even want to take her out. He just wanted to use the voucher. You get me? She was his excuse for using the voucher because it ran out the day after that. Do you get me? It ran out the next day. You got that?
11.
I got to use the voucher extra, fam. He just patterned up quickly. That's what it was.
Where's the line?
It's all about how he presented himself in that situation there. Had he have said, all right, things are a bit struggling right now, whatever, I still want to go out for dinner with you, all good, you know. But he premeditated his cheap-ass ways. So that also then begs to think about the future situation of you dating this motherfucker.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? No, it ain't going to be split half-half, you motherfuckers trying to find a cheap way out. Or you've got to present her going, all right, we've got this cheap, let's get more drinks. All good. Do you know what I mean? He's run away from a fucking situation. He wants a cheap ass time. Fuck off, goodbye.
He didn't even need to say, I'm broke. Literally, he didn't even need to say, I'm broke. He could have just said, like, when they were talking about going on a date, he could have said, I've got a voucher for here. Do you want to go there? Yeah, cool, sweet, let's go. Let's take the voucher. I've got a voucher too. Put two and two together, we get a bigger deal. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just how you literally come there knowing you're only eating your main because that's all that the voucher. Like, did he even get a drink or did he ask for a tap water and a spicy lemon? Fuck off. Do you know what I mean? I'm done.
Also, really like the coupon, Carlos.
You got a jug of water.
Yeah.
Let me send messages. Hold on. Wikes says facts. Brina says the settings ain't right 100. PD says if you pre-planned, it's cool. I love a Groupon. PD says it was just real ghetto with it. Brina says exactly, Carl. Empress says yes, Carl. Well said. PD says exactly, Carl. Now I want to ask the ladies on the live, right? Ask you guys a question. Now let's assume the meal was £25 with the main, right? Just picking a number, something reasonable. Now, keeping in mind, you've agreed before the day or the date that you're going to pay for your house. You're paying for your £25, right? And he's paying for his £25, okay? So if he pulls out the voucher at the end and says, "Well, look, my meal's covered," you're not any more out of pocket, are you? So why is it an issue? There's no more expense.
It's not
It shows his intention.
Yeah, it's just the cheap ass way you went about it. Do you get me? It's not even the fact that you use your little voucher. Do you get me? Take your little voucher that you went and printed out this morning in the internet cafe. Use that. Do that. I don't give a fuck really, because I'm still gonna pay mine. Yeah, I'm still gonna do that. But you just show me who you are. You tight little fuck. No, absolutely no. Thank you.
I just thought of something. You know, in this day and age, everything's a bit fucking hard now. I'm fucking funny now. Put it down. Those total vouchers you would only tend to get when you've actually been there to try and invite you back, because businesses like that are fucking struggling. So who was the motherfucker that you went with last time? Because he went there recently, and he paid full price the last time. So you're getting a cheap ass away because he ain't thinking much of you. Fuck off, dog.
And your baby's cousin Jason's uncle said, yeah, tell him, Carl.
See ya.
See, Carl's got the afterthoughts. I would have said my 2 pence, gone halfway down the road and had to go back. Oi! Who said it before? I haven't finished yet. I got more to say.
Carl's pissed off. He's pissed off. It's just the fact that it's the audacity, isn't it, really? Come on.
If you would have said, I got this voucher, let's have some more drinks or something, then all good. You presented it to the table first. Your cheap ass ways have gone sly about it. That's what's wrong in this scenario.
True, because he literally just used the voucher. He didn't even use the voucher and then couple wings on the side. He literally just used the voucher.
And more to the point, this motherfucker hasn't thought much about what you want or what you like because he's got a voucher.
Because he got a voucher, he don't give a fuck about you. He don't care about you.
Yo. We gonna eat. I didn't say you gonna eat what you want. I said you was gonna eat.
Exactly.
Weatherspoon. It was Weatherspoon.
I didn't say I was gonna get you something you like. I said I was gonna get you something. There's a difference.
Brina says, laughing at Milan. Also says Lickle voucher, 100% chids. PD says, I would pay, it's not an issue. He pre-planned it and he didn't have the decency to say something. Brina says, in it, Ash. And Wax and Brina are laughing as well at that all. Well, I don't know, man. Chids.
Sticky. Who am I?
Sugar?
Yeah, exactly.
No one luck, brother.
So I'm saying, PD says...
No one luck.
I'm not going to start on you guys. I already apologized at the beginning. It's a level of audacity. You probably didn't even want the date. Just wanted the free main and needed someone to pay.
Yeah, the voucher was facing his empty wallet. That's what was happening.
Trump moves, man. That's some. Take your voucher, hold it in for, stick it up your fucking rectum, you little shit, cheap ass. Hear me? I'm mad. Moving mad.
I think that one got everyone, man. That was definitely a good Ask Billy. We've only got 10 minutes left, right? And we've still got to talk about gold diggers.
He ain't one of them. Tell you that for free.
You ain't gonna take no gold from some coupon card.
Not one of them. Not one of them.
Don't use my name in this coupon shit.
Sorry, coupon Clive. Sorry.
Perfect. Don't bring me coupon.
Chiz, are you saying that this person was Carl? Is that what you're saying to us? Is that who it was?
You and your shit box. Fuck off.
Nah, you know Carl. Nah, Carl's one of those. He's one of those
bougie
people.
Carl's big business, baby.
Carl's never seen a coupon in his life. Carl have never seen a coupon in his life. The only coupon he's seen is like £3 off a 3 mil bag in fucking, I don't know. You get me?
Where's this bag going? Shit.
Carl's like, fuck that, put that shit away. And I'm like, hang on a minute, I got a discount code. He's like, no, don't embarrass me. Don't do that shit in front of me.
I don't use them at all. I actually don't. I am actually that person. If I go out to dinner with people, I pay. I'm one of those ones.
Like,
so guys, you heard it here. When Carl comes back,
that's called a baller, bro. That's called a baller. You see it?
No, and like if I go out for something like that, I like to know I got enough money to be able to do what I want to do when I go out. You know, I wouldn't like to put myself in an uncomfortable position first.
Yeah, there's like
And it also depends on what the exchange rate is next time, Ash.
DJ Empress says, DJ Empress, right, says, good question here, guys. Let's say for Milan, maybe, I suppose. What if Mr. Voucher became rich? She may go back.
Fuck him. Still fuck him, man.
You don't go back to your ex. I mean,
nah, man, you don't go back. Fuck that. You don't go back.
If he became rich, when? Like, what, because he got an inheritance or something? I mean,
nah,
I don't understand. We don't go back to the ex. Just move on.
The ones with the money don't spend the fucking money. That's why they bastard got it.
Yeah.
That's why he's got the voucher, fam. He's already rich. Like, I ain't spending my pounds, on my dollars, on my Bitcoin on this bitch.
Are you guys telling me, right? So if your ex then won the lottery, like won 10 million, actually they won 30 million. You said you want to go back. They wanted you back. You said you want to go back.
Dickie, there was a reason you wanted to go up with the motherfucker the first time.
Exactly. Not for many. Then I'd just be a fucking gold digger. I might as well just go and hoe myself up then if I'm gonna do that.
Oh, good bridge, Sticks. Good bridge.
Good segue.
Oh. And I ain't saying I'm a gold digger.
But I ain't some of the
broke. Nah, all niggas are broke. Bitches are always rich. You get me?
I'll be like, where do I sign up? Where do I sign? Exactly. White is saying you're lying. You're all lying. No. Whites, I'm with you there. You're all lying. That's why I agree.
Nah, man, Whites, I'm serious. I would not go back to my ex for nothing. I wouldn't go back to him for nothing. Yeah, man, none of them. Fuck that. We don't do the past. The past is gone. What did Rafiki say in Thing? Fuck the past. He never said fuck the past, but it basically
sound like that.
You're saying he said that. That's enough.
We don't do that shit. We don't do.
No, your past is the past for a reason. I mean, there was a reason you felt sick in bed with him in the first time. Why would you go back to that? Money that
30 million.
Couldn't give a fuck, Stick. Couldn't give a fuck. Unless I can push the motherfucker down the stairs and get an inheritance, I'm fine.
Well, you're selling yourself just because man got, or the man or the woman got money, and just because they got money,
just because he has the money, is he giving you any of it, or is he
still
saying, well,
yes.
Nah, man, I just go phone up a man and go rob him, innit? What?
100%.
I didn't want to say that. I don't want to say it, but
nah, man, put it out there. I just call a couple and say, yo, my guy, listen, I heard so and so. What you say? Fuck it, you know you don't even want to do it. I'll do it on my own.
I'll be a getaway driver.
Millie's my getaway driver. I'll be like, I'm taking a passenger seat today. Come here. Let's go, French. Yeah? I drop it in French.
Yeah. In terms of gold diggers, if somebody who got the money wants to give it away and they're stupid enough to give it away because someone's not interested in them, fucking take it.
And that's what I'm saying. The gold digger thing only applies to rich people, fam. Like, and if you're rich enough, you would know that the woman that you're with wants you for your dough because that's what you would have flexed on her, innit? That's what you would have flaunted, and that's what you would have led to. That's what you would have used in order to get her, innit? So I don't even. That's rich people problems. Like I can't even. You know what I'm saying? If you got gold digger digging on you, you wanted it at some point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I have a client here that she is with a guy who's just recently divorced. Luckily, he's about to buy a house for $16.5 million.
Woo.
Nice. Fair enough. PD says, no, it isn't happening. So she ain't happen to the ex. White says, money talks. You know, I'm with Wax on this one. Wax, I'm with you.
It doesn't, not really. Depends on your mindset, though, who you are. It depends who you are, innit?
I'm with Wax on this one. PD says, not unless I can hire a hitman. DJ Prince is laughing, and PD says, I'm going to hire Chids. She's ready.
Fact, I'm ready. I'm there. Just call me, DM me, and I'll just give you the deets on them. My other WhatsApp stuff. No,
it'd be cheaper to go back 30 million, right? Where do I sign up?
Yeah, man.
Oh, if people are stupid enough to give away the money, then fine, take it.
Most people are moved by money. That's the thing, isn't it? Most people make money
Most,
as
yeah,
essential.
most people are, yeah.
Yeah. That's why it's easy for people to be like that. That's why most man will think, if I got money, I could get any girl I want. You know, kind of
Nah,
thing.
man. But I
Well, it's
like
not
to
actually.
fuck up their whole mindset as well, look, because you know men who think like that are dumb, mate, yeah. I just had to piss them off just a little bit more and say, nah,
I think.
definitely not.
Do
But it
you
depends
think though
who you
that
are. Most women will do it just for money and that, but like, I just don't know. I'm just not most women. I make my own money, so no.
Cheers, Milan, do you think the gold digger era of women was more the 90s, early 2000s, and now the
100%,
woman is
because
more about the career?
yeah, because
Yeah.
women are
Yeah,
hustling now. Like
women
women
get money. Yeah,
hustle
women
hard.
get
Like
money.
women got the best hustle. Women hustle harder than men now. Like the women got a pattern now. Whereas back then we was a bit more vulnerable, innit? We didn't really know what we were doing. Now we've evolved and leveled up, and we're like, do you
Well,
get me
look,
now?
women are
Fuck
having
you.
babies in their 40s now because of the career.
Exactly. It's like, fuck you. I'm doing this shit. I'm doing you as a choice, mate, not because I need you. Do you get me? I'm doing my thing. And that's how. And this is not. It's not a power trip thing or anything. It's just that's how women are set now. Do you get me? And like even one of my parents in my nursery, she went and she was like, I'm getting at an age now. I ain't got no kids. What the fuck do I need a man for? My girl just went and bought this, that, and the other, bought a sperm donor and everything from a catalogue with her own money and got her own child. She's doing that shit by herself because women know how to make money now. Like they trust me, women got a pattern. You look at a woman, she'll have a job, her main job, a job after that, another job, little side hustle on the side hustle. Women ain't playing now. And
And
that's
good
just how
on
it
them as
is,
well.
really.
Take back the
The gold
control.
digging thing. It's not about gold digging. That shit don't last forever, do it? So like you got to build something that lasts forever.
Yep.
Definitely.
No, that's still, I think
Wax.
Sorry.
I'll say White says, see how everyone went silent when you said 13 mil for the house. Money talks. Brina says, exactly, Chids. PD says, I can never stay with a tyrant because he's got money. And also says, exactly, Chids. And guys, we've only got about 2 minutes left or so, by the way. Just so you all know. Yeah.
We can talk.
We can. We really can. So probably a good time for us to say goodbye then, I suppose, right?
Can I just say our little slogan? I haven't said it for a while.
Yeah, sorry. We haven't said, yeah, go on. Sorry.
Let's just say it. What is it? Welcome to TruuuTalk podcast. The place where we talk and the talk is.
And the talk is true.
It's been fun today, guys. We
used to say it in a real seductive voice.
It's a fun one.
She used to say it in the most seductive of voices.
No, I can't because then you'll have people will go on the thing and then they will just listen to that clip over and over again. It's long. Trust me, it's long. I'll do it. I'll do a little video, yeah? Just put it on the thing and then they can play it over and over again.
There we go.
Only fans, man.
Only fans. I'll be like,
guys, we'll say thank you for joining us as always. Thank you for contributing. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe if you're watching on the YouTube. We did ask a couple of messages whilst I quickly can. PD says that went quickly. This young lady, I know she's mentioned before, and I can never remember her name or how to pronounce it. So Cal Kuskine. I'm sure I've said it incorrectly. Forgive me if I have. Says, love to say, lucky to have a family. Legion Press says, good night, guys. Thank you for this evening, though you were late. Yes, we were actually on time. We were here already on time, but we just didn't start on time. I don't know why.
We were partying.
That was my fault.
Yeah, we're partying. I've got the recording, so we'll show you the recording as well. But guys, thank you.
No kitchen.
What's it? Snitches get stitches, right? Something like that. Yeah, there we go. So, guys, look, thank you for joining. I will see you all next week, Wednesday, 10 o'clock. We'll be on time. No one. We'll be on time.
Peace.
See you later.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
See y'all again Wednesday at 10.